Good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Jayanti. I'm a professor in the Department of Oral Pathology at SCCR Dental College, Kollam. Today, we are going to have a small discussion on lichen planus, and the discussion will be under these contents, where I'll be first telling you about the normal histology, pathogenesis, skin and oral lesions of lichen planus, histopathology, and I will end with the treatment. Now, this is the normal histology of skin and oral mucosa. This photomicrograph shows the histology of skin where we have epidermis, that is nothing but the epithelium of the skin, which is usually keratinized stratified squamous epithelium. Below the epithelium, you have the connective tissue, which is also called as the dermis. And the unique feature of skin is that in the dermis, we have adnexal structures of skin like your sweat glands, sebaceous glands, and the hair follicles. On the right hand side, you see a photomicrograph of the normal histology of oral mucosa. Like your skin, oral mucosa is also lined by stratified squamous epithelium. However, there are some areas of oral cavity which have keratinized epithelium, like your gingiva and hard palate. They are also called as masticatory mucosa. The buccal mucosa, soft palate, labial mucosa, and ventral surface of the tongue are lined by non-keratinized epithelium, which is also called as the lining mucosa. Below the epithelium, you have connective tissue, which is also known as lamina propria. And some areas like your lining mucosa, in the deeper part of the connective tissue, intraoral minor salivary glands are seen, as you can see from the picture here. Adjacent two epithelial cells are connected to each other by cell junctions called desmosomes. And the basal layer of the epithelium is attached to the basement membrane by another type of cell junction called hemidesmosome. And I think you all are aware that the epithelium is separated from the connective tissue, or at the junction of epithelium and connective tissue, you have a structure called basement membrane, which is seen just as a eosinophilic line under a routine light microscopy. But the same structure, when you see under an electron microscopy, is called as a basal lamina, and it is made up of three distinct layers: lamina lucida, lamina densa, and lamina reticularis. And the basal layer of epithelium is usually resting on this basement membrane. With this idea about histology, let's move on to lichen planus. We know that lichen planus is a chronic disease which can affect both skin and the oral cavity. And pathogenetically, it is supposed to be considered as an autoimmune disease. So a little bit about autoimmune disease we will discuss here for you to understand how lichen planus occurs. Now, the normal immune mechanism is a protective mechanism that is targeted against a foreign antigen. So whenever a foreign antigen enters the human body, two types of immune mechanisms can happen. One is called the humoral immunity. The other one is called the cell-mediated immunity. In humoral immunity, against the antigen, foreign antigen, antibodies or immunoglobulins are generated. And these are usually produced by the B lymphocytes, which proliferate, differentiate into plasma cells. And hence, under a humoral immunity, B lymphocytes play a major role. Whereas on the other hand, we have cell-mediated immunity, where the CD8 cytotoxic T lymphocytes play a major role. This is usually against virally infected cells and tumor cells. So instead of targeting the specific viral antigen or tumor antigen, the entire cell that is containing this virus or tumor antigens are destroyed by the CD8 lymphocytes. And that is why these cells are called cytotoxic T lymphocytes. Similarly, you have autoimmune diseases, which can be either B cell mediated, where autoantibodies are produced. For example, you have pemphigus and pemphigoid. Whereas on the other hand, you have T cell mediated autoimmune disease, where autoantibodies are not generated, but instead of that, the cytotoxic CD8 lymphocytes will get activated and they will cause destruction of the normal cells in the human body. And this is what is happening in lichen planus. The CD8 T lymphocytes, which is represented by these black dots, they are targeting the basal cells of the epithelium, that is the basal keratinocytes, and they are causing destruction and apoptosis of the basal keratinocytes. As a result of that, the basal layer of the epithelium loses its nucleus, they undergo degeneration and cell death, and you just see apoptotic bodies there. And also the CD8 lymphocytes will secrete a lot of chemicals called cytokines, and these cytokines will recruit additional or more number of cytotoxic T lymphocytes, and the process continues. There is always a controversy regarding the role of stress in the etiology of lichen planus. However, the recent literature and studies are showing that Stress does not have any direct role in the development of lichen planus, nor it is implicated as an etiology of lichen planus. However, it has been now concluded that people who have increased level of stress or anxiety respond by getting a lichen planus lesion compared to another group of people who do not have the stress. Clinically, you can get lesions of lichen planus both on the skin as well as in the oral cavity. On the skin, the lesions are typically described as 3 Ps, that is purple color, pruritic, papules, which means you see elevated papules on the skin which are purple in color and they are really itchy. So patient continuously scratches on the lesion. That is what is happening, and it is very commonly seen on the extremities, hands and feet on the flexor aspect. In the oral cavity, 2 types of lichen planus have been described. One is the reticular type, the other one is called the erosive type. Reticular type is the most common one in the oral cavity. It is characteristically seen as a white radiating striae, as you can see from the pictures here. This radiating white striae is called as Wickham striae. And bilateral buccal mucosa having a characteristic white radiating striae is a very characteristic clinical manifestation of oral lichen planus. Most of the times in reticular lichen planus, patients do not have any symptoms. However, if it is superimposed with candidal infection, then patient may complain of a burning sensation. Sometimes in the tongue, especially on the dorsum of the tongue, you will not see a characteristic Wickham striae like you see in the buccal mucosa, but lichen planus presents as multiple papules on the tongue. That is also called as papular lichen planus. The second type I was mentioning is erosive lichen planus, which is seen as the area of redness and erythema or ulceration in the oral cavity. Again, if you have to clinically call it erosive lichen planus, this erythema has to be surrounded by a peripheral white striae called Wickham striae. Only then a clinical diagnosis of erosive lichen planus can be made. A very special variant of erosive lichen planus occurs especially on the gingiva, which is clinically termed as desquamative gingivitis. The patient will have an erythema and ulceration of the gingiva. That is a very characteristic feature of desquamative gingivitis. However, you have to keep in mind that if a patient is having desquamative gingivitis, it is not always lichen planus, but it can also be other autoimmune diseases like pemphigus or bullous pemphigoid. That is why it is very important that you need to take a biopsy to confirm the diagnosis of lichen planus, especially in the erosive types. And most of the time, erosive lichen planus patient has severe burning sensation of the oral cavity and they have difficulty in eating food and swallowing food. Histopathologically, on microscopic examination, 2 characteristic features are mandatory to call a lesion as a lichen planus, be it skin biopsy or oral mucosal biopsy. World Health Organization has given a criteria that if you need to call it lichen planus histopathologically, you need to have number 1, basal cell degeneration. That is nothing but the basal layer of the epithelium is undergoing cell death and apoptosis. And the second one is subepithelial dense band of lymphocytes. So what you see in this picture, blue color area, these blue dots immediately below the retiridges in the superficial part of the connective tissue, they are all nothing but they're all collection of T lymphocytes. These T lymphocytes are CD8 cytotoxic T lymphocyte, which is actually causing the destruction of the basal keratinocytes. So a basal cell degeneration along with a dense band of lymphocytic infiltrate subepithelially are the characteristic histopathological features in lichen planus. The degenerating basal cells which have undergone apoptosis will be seen as eosinophilic bodies in the basal layer of epithelium or in the superficial part of the connective tissue, and they are referred to as civet bodies. The other name for civet bodies are colloid bodies or hyaline bodies, and the black arrow here is pointing out to this civet bodies. Because the basal cell degeneration and destruction is happening in lichen planus, the epithelial connective tissue interface is damaged and becomes very weak, as a result of which an artifactual split can be seen at this level. A space you can see where the arrow is pointing here, a space can be seen. That is not a true cleft that is forming like in pemphigus or pemphigoid, but it is just an artifactual cleft, and that is referred to as Max Joseph's cleft. whenever we ask students about histopathology of lichen planus, the first thing I get to hear is sawtooth retirages. Now, what is the sawtooth ridges? As you can see the schematic picture here, this is how a sawtooth will look like. Because the basal cell degeneration is happening in lichen planus, the retiridges will lose its normal shape and it may assume a sawtooth retirid shape. Now, please keep in mind that the presence of sawtooth retiridge is not mandatory for diagnosis of lichen planus, nor you see it in all the cases of lichen planus. It may or may not be present. The next thing all of you have to keep in mind is that there are few lesions which affect the oral cavity which may clinically mimic lichen planus. Number one is lichenoid mucositis that occurs as a result of drug intake or as an allergic reaction to amalgam restoration. It can be lupus erythematosus. Graft versus host disease can also have oral lesions similar to erosive lichen planus. And of course, a new entity called chronic ulcerative stomatitis has similarity to lichen planus, not only clinically, but histopathologically also. Thereby, you have to differentiate all these lesions from lichen planus based on histopathological examination as well as based on the immunofluorescence appearance. How do you treat these lesions? If it is skin or oral cavity lesion, majority of them respond very well with topical corticosteroids. Moderately potent steroids like triamcinolone is the first choice, and it is given in the form of topical application, which has to be done at least for 2 weeks for complete resolution of the lesion. Most of the patients have resolution of the erythema and burning sensation with topical steroids. However, there may be a small group of people who do not respond with triamcinolone. In such patients, highly potent steroids like clobetasol or beclomethasone mouth rinses can be used, especially if the lesions are widely spread in the oral cavity. Literatures and studies have shown that immunosuppressive drugs like topical tacrolimus and cyclosporins also respond very well in patients with lichen planus. However, they have a lot of side effects and they are also expensive drugs. That is why most of the times we stick on to steroid therapy. There is a controversy regarding the malignant transformation of lichen planus. Even if it is present, the transformation rate is very less. It is ranging between 0.3 to 3% only, and it is most of the time restricted to erosive lichen planus. And the recent studies are stating that compared to lichen planus, lichenoid mucositis has higher rate of transformation into squamous cell carcinoma. So the take-home messages I want to give at the end of this presentation for all the listeners is that lichen planus is a T-cell mediated autoimmune disease. It is a mucocutaneous disease affecting both skin and oral cavity. However, the appearance of clinical lesion in the skin is different from that of the oral cavity. Histopathology with biopsy helps to differentiate lichen planus from other clinically similar looking lesions, and most of these lesions respond very well with steroid therapy. Thank you.